every bit of difference in the world, and they were both exhausted. However, they also had, arguably fight of the year. Because of it went 5. It would have been a great fight at 3, but it was a better fight at 5 for the spectators. So there you go. But as far as that's another aspect. But the the whole thing that started all this, which is the injury stuff. Yeah, there's no reason to believe that this year is an aberration and that it's going to change next year. But there's going to be a lot more shows next year.
All right, I want to talk about one last thing before we go here today, and that is the story that Mikel Falcao, who fought in UFC very recently, in fact, it was earlier this year, and ended up getting released from the company due to some legal issues down in...
He got arrested while doing... You hear that story? He was doing an interview when he got arrested.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. Anyway, the point is apparently suffered a heart attack during training.
Yeah, I did hear that, but I didn't hear many details about it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, these guys train really hard,
He's like, he'd be 30.
Yeah. Look, we've seen it with wrestling. These guys train really hard. There's a lot of guys that are taking a lot of stuff, too. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
Not like the wrestlers of before, but, you look at these guys, I'll tell you something. It's, no matter what, God, I saw the guys at this weigh-in, at this, on this last San Jose show, and it was just like, let's not kid ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get pretty damn fit. These guys train hard, and some of them, not all of them, but a lot of them eat really good. And some of them are also going to be very genetically, have great genetic advantageous genetics. You can get a hell of a physique training the way those guys do, and if you're lifting and you're eating good and you got the right genetics. So when you look at one of these guys, okay, and you just go, he's got a great physique. He's probably on steroids. I know of guys like that. I know of guys that have hellacious physiques in MMA that are not on steroids, but there were some guys there, that I know for sure there is no freaking way they're clean, because there's a difference between, having that really good physique, if you look at pictures of a Steve Reeves, just if you look at old movie pictures, okay, this guy was around, or any of your bodybuilders from the 50s, from the early 50s, let's just say, because their steroids started coming in the late 50s. And they hit the bodybuilding community pretty quick. But your guys in the early 50s, Steve Reeves and whatever those other guys were, God, I forget all those names. It doesn't matter anyway. But the point is, those guys, if you look at them now, you're going to look and you're going to go, these guys must be taking steroids. But in fact, they weren't. And also, they didn't eat as we didn't know nearly as much about nutrition, because those guys were drinking milk like crazy too, and that's not really conducive to being cut. And
well, it's actually funny when you mention. Well, go ahead.
What? But go ahead.
I was just going to talk about the training, like when the bodybuilding magazines and such and everything. When I was coming up in the '80s, and you read all these bodybuilding magazines, and they're telling you, oh, you should not train your whole body every other day. You should break it up into different body parts and that sort of thing. Then you go back to the Steve Reeves, and he just did full body 3 days a week.
They probably, I don't know when Steve Reeves was around what they were doing. I know, but like when I was starting with that, the way those guys were doing, this is the 70s, they were doing different body parts on different days, but those guys were all, they were all on steroids by then too. Like with Arnold with the 20 sets per body part thing, which became the real fashionable thing. And if you're really young, you can make gains on 20 sets per body part, but it's freaking counterproductive in so many ways, and I did that, because that's what everyone did in those days, and it was, all you did was you end up injured way more than you should, and you don't make the gains that you should make because you're overtraining. But when you're young, you can recover from overtraining, and then you get older and you get smarter and you train less and you actually get more out of it and all that. But but like I said, like I remember when Pepper Gomez passed away, and I did a story on him. Pepper Gomez was a pretty high level bodybuilder. He was not Mr. America or anything like that, but he was in the magazines and all that, in the bodybuilding magazines before he was a professional wrestler, and that ended up, the bodybuilding got him into pro wrestling. And I saw the pictures of Pepper Gomez, from the early 50s, and he wasn't taking any steroids back then. And I go, like, if I saw this guy, I'd go, he's taking steroids, okay? However, none of these guys have the ripped hamstrings and certain things that I've seen on certain guys in MMA, where you're going like, okay, I know you can, there are guys with good physiques out there that may even be natural. It's some people are going to look at certain guys and go, oh, he's on, and the fact is like, look at frickin' Tim Sylvia and Josh Barnett, right? We know they're on because they failed tests, and most people would go, oh, they couldn't be on. And that there are a lot of guys, this in pro wrestling. There are guys with what you and I would call average to shitty physiques. Johnny Grunge, I'll throw that name out there. Johnny Grunge was doing steroids. Look what he looks like, because not everyone that takes steroids looks like Mason Ryan, for example. But when it's ridiculous, the ridiculous physiques, of certain guys, and this, whether it's in pro wrestling or in MMA, there are guys where you just go, there's no way, and I'm seeing those guys, and it's just like, and it's just the reality, though. It's the reality of, when you have certain trainers. It's the reality when you have certain doctors. And it's the reality. It's the reality of sports. If it's going to help your sports, you're gonna do that. So, and that doesn't, are some guys going to get heart attacks because of that? Yes, they are. We've seen that too. Doesn't help. I'm not saying that that's 100% the reason, and there could be rec drugs involved as well. Like with the wrestlers, that have had heart attacks. There's a lot of different reasons as to why, but they're all contributing causes, and there you go.
All right, everybody, we're going to wrap it up for today, but we're going to be back later on this weekend with more. I want everyone to have a very happy Thanksgiving, those of you in the U.S. Please stay safe. Don't eat too much. And
come on, don't eat too much.
I know, it's preposterous.
That's ridiculous on Thanksgiving.
I believe we're going to have shows up tomorrow as well, so you can be thankful for that.
You're doing shows tomorrow?
I know, it's crazy. Well, I booked some shows, and I forgot what day it was.
I didn't think you would do shows tomorrow.
Are you kidding me?
I congratulate you for dedication.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, we got some shows tomorrow, everybody. So head up there and check it out. Check out the front page as well. We'll talk to you again after a while.